In a doorway. Put them in a doorway.
What?
I said I look like I'm sitting in a doorway. It's actually my hallway. Eric, just to let you know, the second matter listed and the second matter, which is Dela Cruz, is not going forward tonight.
Okay.
And Coup, the fourth one.
Yep.
Is not going forward tonight.
Oh, I'm so upset.
I can see the disappointment. So, it's just Moffett, Myler, and then Shannon.
Okay. That should take us to about midnight.
Well, Moffett is a carryover, and I think they just came back with a slightly, they had to get all their plans were all a little confusing last time, so shouldn't be too bad.
Then why'd you do that?
I mean, it's not, I'm looking at the variances, it's not too bad. I need tissue.
And then what's Wednesday look like? Wednesday a crazy night?
Wednesday is Woodland
All right. Forgot about that.
and Canoe Country Club.
What are they doing?
They are rebuilding their bag house, which had a fire, and making the footprint a little bigger. So they're adding some gross floor area. So,
But Woodland's almost done, weren't they? But they don't have much to do.
It should be
Fairly.
Just,
It shouldn't be like all the other meetings. It shouldn't be as long
no,
as
because
this.
the public comment portion is over.
It's all done. That's what I thought.
So it should just be wrapping things up and fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. So Eileen, my second one is off to college.
Oh, really? Oh, your second one. Wow.
Yeah.
I remember your first one was just going.
She's gonna be a junior. My first
Oh
one.
my gosh. And now your first one went to,
She's at Towson University in Maryland.
okay,
And my other one's going to Delaware, University of Delaware.
nice. Wow, that's great.
I don't know how we got lucky that they both, I mean, they're only an hour away from each other.
That's good.
I don't know how that worked out, but it did.
So did she
somehow.
just went off to college?
What's that? I don't hear you. I lost you. Say it again.
Did she just leave for college?
No, she's leaving in August. She just,
So she'll be, okay. Nice.
yeah, she's a senior now in high school. So, but she just did her acceptance and all that
Good,
nonsense.
good. That's great. That's great. Yeah.
So an empty house.
I'm counting babies
Yeah,
now, so
I'm not there yet.
I'm on the second round.
We're looking forward to the empty house.
Yeah, enjoy it. Enjoy it.
Be great if you could pull some strings and just do these Millburns for the rest of the ever virtually.
I don't hate it, but
I don't hate it either.
trying to see. It's showing 2 attendees, but I don't see anybody. That's weird.
There's a Julius Haas.
Yeah, but it's showing me 2
Yeah.
to be there.
Huh.
That's weird. Oh, you're the host. That's why I can't do it. Nicole, you're the host. For some reason, it's not letting me.
Now it's down to 1.
Nicole, I need you to host me, make me the host. Or let me see if I can. Because I can't let anybody in or out. This is very weird.
I think it worked, right?
Yeah, but you know what's weird is that it's not letting me, well, I'll see what happens. It wasn't letting me scroll through the attendees. Yeah, we had 2 attendees, but only 1 name, which is kind of weird.
Oh, I only see one.
Yeah, 1 dropped off, so we'll see what happens. Ugh. You have HPC this week?
Yeah, tomorrow's my only night without a meeting.
Me too.
I have Monday and Wednesday.
So if you see me nodding on Wednesday, just call for it.
I think you fell asleep last week. Pretty sure you did.
I didn't, but I wish I did. I really would anyone notice, honestly. Oh my God, nobody's here. Relax. Hey, nobody's here.
All right, let's see.
It won't let me bring anybody over.
Yeah, I have to.
Why though? That's weird. Usually,
Weird. I thought you used to be able to as the co-host.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why
Last
that.
week we could. That's very.
I would go in and look at how it's set up, but I didn't do anything different, so I don't know why it would be different this time.
Yeah, this is still the.
The same recurring one, yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Good. Well, I had lots of trouble getting in tonight.
Your volume is good though today. Nice and loud.
Yeah. How about that?
Yeah.
Hey, Steve.
Everybody,
Well,
how's it going, Joe?
How are you?
Good, good.
Come back in and see if that changes anything. Okay.
Okay.
I don't know. It probably won't, but I'll try.
Yeah, I don't know why that would be happening. Hi, Rob.
Hey, Rob,
Good evening, everyone.
how are you?
Peachy. Yourselves?
With a tie on, no less. Of
Got to dress for
course.
success, Joe. If you have nothing else, that's what you got to
That's
rely
right.
on.
Rob, did you get my email before? We just have the 2 resolutions tonight?
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah, the third one, that other one we're going to do on the 17th.
okay.
How many memorializations do we have tonight?
2.
2. Hi, Craig.
Joe, how are you? Hi, guys.
Good.
Oh,
Right.
Now I could do it, Eileen. Can you? Oh, did I take it from you?
Hold on 1 second.
I'm just the co-host. So
Yeah, you took it away from me.
what the heck is
I
happening?
don't know. It's weird. I mean, yeah, I don't know.
But I'm on as a co-host.
You're on the co-host, but now I can't bring people in and out. I don't have the, hold on. Yeah, I can. I can.
You can. Okay, so we both can now.
I can. Now let me just say,
So I know if that happens again, just I'll log out and log back in.
yeah, I don't know why that would be happening though. But maybe because you went on, no, but you've done it before where you've come on before me.
Yeah, we've done the same thing a million times and never had a
Yeah,
problem.
I don't know.
All right, I'm not gonna question it.
Nicole, in
Yes?
determining whether or not we have enough people to get started, can we count the dog or not?
Sure, if you need one, I have 4. You can pick as many as you want.
Oh, you have 4.
If we could get them to sit still long enough, now I don't think anyone would ever notice if they were participants. No. Yeah, 2 are wrestling right next to me. They keep knocking into me.
All right, Eileen,
Yes.
we should get started. Do you want to read the notice provision?
In accordance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, be advised that notice of this meeting was made by posting on the bulletin board in Town Hall and mailing to the officially designated newspapers a list of the meeting dates annually, indicating that this meeting would take place on Monday, May 3rd, 2021 via Zoom webinar. Let me just bring. Craig Putner,
Here.
Jody Sharma,
Here.
Steve Toger. Steve Toger,
Here.
Wolfgang Tatoris,
Here.
Amy Lawrence,
Here.
Sanju Harjani,
I'm sorry, who was that?
Sanju Harjani,
Logged in.
he's here. Let me get Jessica's here. Vice Chairwoman Jessica Glatt.
Here.
Chandra, you're here. Chandra,
Yep, I'm here. Hi, how are you?
and Chairman Joseph Steinberg.
Here.
Is Joy gonna, I didn't hear from Joy. She's gonna be here, yes? Do we know?
Who?
Joy Siegel.
I think so.
Okay, well, either way, we can do the resolutions.
Okay, before we get started, couple of comments. The first is that we have, and I'm sure that all of you received the amended agenda for tonight, but we have some changes. The De La Cruz matter, which we've already heard one night at 17 Woodland, will not go forward tonight. The Brian and Suki True matter at 20 Highland Avenue is not going forward tonight because of insufficient notice. And that will have to be totally renoticed. So we're basically down to three matters tonight. We have Erica and James Moffett at 19 Bailey Road, which is a carryover from the March 15th meeting. We have the Mueller matter at 49 Pine Street. And we have the Edward and Danielle Shannon matter at 9 Kilmer. So we have only three matters before the board tonight. The other comment I wanted to make, I've been asked to make, is that we apparently are a little bit strange in terms of board meetings, in that there is very little conversation that occurs after a motion is made and seconded. And I ask for comments from board members. Very often, we don't get comments from board members, with the one or two exceptions. And that makes it a little bit difficult for Rob Simon to draft memorializing resolutions, because there's very little comment from the board as to why people have voted yes or no on a particular motion. So I'm going to suggest that when a motion is made and I ask for discussion of the motion, people think hard about why you're voting one way or the other and speak up to the issue. Let Rob know and let me know and let the other board members know why you are commenting or why you're going to vote for a particular item or against a particular item. That is where the motion has been made and seconded. Rob, anything to add to that?
No, I just think it's always better for the process for everyone involved, the applicant, any interested parties and the board, that during the course of any application, that the board members should not hesitate to ask any questions that you may have regarding the application and make any comments, because in the end, the resolution is again, the memorialization of what the board decides to do based on the record at that hearing. And so we always want to make the best record that we can, so that we can then memorialize it in writing. So thank you, Joe, for that comment.
I also
Joe,
want to
I
point
just have
out,
a question.
yes,
I just wanted to ask a question about that. So you're saying once someone makes a motion, then you want us to discuss it more? Or are you saying prior to making the motion? I'm just confused because I always thought that once the motion is made, we're just voting on it. I thought that then we're like our comments are closed. So I'm just confused
No.
about what you're
that's
saying.
not correct. That's not correct. From a point of view of running a meeting, when a motion is made, discussion on the motion should take place subsequent to the motion being made and seconded. Now, I also want to point out, and Rob kindly didn't say this, but that's my job to say it. When you discuss a motion, let's not say things like, I don't like the way she dyes her hair. Right? We want to comment on the motion and on what's been presented to the board. And if you have real serious comments to make, even if they're negative, or you feel that there hasn't been sufficient facts put before the board to justify the voting on a motion, say so. And we can always reopen the meeting to get further comments from the applicant, witnesses for the applicant, and from objectors and witnesses for the objectors.
Joe,
Okay.
can I just add something in direct
Sure.
response to Jessica's comment? Jessica is also correct, though, that once the public portion is closed, and once the applicant rests and it goes to board deliberation, that's where there should be a vocal, active discussion. Certainly before any motion is made. And then, Joe, to your point, once the motion is made, that doesn't mean that the discussion should cease, because very oftentimes board members may say, well, I may be interested in voting that way, but I would like these conditions, or are we concerned about this, or did you consider this? So I think the discussion amongst the board should take place, frankly, at both times, during the board deliberation prior to somebody making a motion, and then potentially also even after the motion is made.
You are correct, and I stand corrected.
So-
Okay,
Can we just, Joy Siegel is here. She joined in right as you started speaking, so Joy is here.
hi, Joy.
Joe and Rob, I just want to make sure, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but so the process whereby you call for a motion, the motion is seconded, and we would immediately go to a vote, you don't want that to be the process any longer. You want more conversation after the motion is made and before it's
No,
seconded?
yeah, let me jump in. Now, once a motion is made and someone says, is there a second? And someone says a second, you can take a vote. But once a motion is made, and sometimes even prior to somebody seconding the motion, anybody can say anything they want on the board in terms of questions about the motion, conditions, or anything having to do with the application. But I mean, once there is a motion and a second, then there's going to be a roll call and there's going to be a vote. Steve, you're right.
Okay.
But my point is we're not changing that process, but I'm just trying to encourage the board to the extent, and you don't have to, but to the extent of trying to make the best record we can, to the extent that you have anything you want to say, pro or con, conditions, thoughts about a particular application that are relevant to the board's consideration, please don't hesitate to speak up.
Okay, now let's turn to the next item. Are there any minutes, Eileen?
Yeah.
No minutes tonight. So memorializations, what's the first one you have, Rob?
The first one is Ying Lee, 89 Pine Street.
Okay, remember this case? This is the case where the architect herself was representing herself for her particular home. And as I recall this case, this was the widening of a driveway, is that correct?
Yes, widening of driveway, moving retaining wall a little bit.
Right. Now, is there any discussion on the memorialization of this resolution? Or the adoption, I should say, of this memorializing resolution? If not, is there a motion to adopt the memorializing resolution?
I'll move adoption.
Is there a
Assuming.
second?
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Craig Plattner,
Yes.
Joy Siegel,
Yes.
Steve Toger,
Yes,
Wolfgang Tatoris,
Yes.
Amy Lawrence,
Yes.
Jessica Glatt,
Yes.
Joseph Steinberg.
Yes. Now, the second one you have, Rob?
The second one is Demon 1 Exeter Road in Short Hills.
All right, this is the Exeter Road property that was on the corner of Old Short Hills Road, down the street from the hospital. Are there any, is there any discussion of this memorializing resolution that has been circulated? If not, is there a motion to adopt the memorializing resolution in 1 Exeter?
I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Craig Plattner,
Yes.
Joy Siegel,
Yes.
Steve Toger,
yes,
Wolfgang Tatoris,
Yes.
Amy Lawrence,
Yes.
Jessica Glatt,
Yes.
Joseph Steinberg.
Yes. All right, there are no other memorializing resolutions tonight, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so let's move to the first case on the agenda, which is the carryover case from 19 Bailey Road. Is the applicant here?
Yes. I brought over Ying Lee, who is the architect, and the Moffats.
All right. Can we get some testimony on the Moffat case at 19 Bailey Road?
Hey, before we start, let's make sure that anyone who's going to be providing testimony tonight gets sworn. Even if you were sworn the last time, because it's been a number of months, we might as well just re-swear everyone.
Okay,
Okay, so who's ever going to testify, if you would just raise your right hand?
Miss Lee, can you get
Yeah.
on the screen if you're gonna testify? So we can see you, please?
Yes,
Thank
hi,
you.
sorry, I'm
Okay.
on now.
Yeah, no worries.
right hands up.
Okay, do you swear from the testimony you're about to give in tonight's Zoom hearing to be the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes,
Yes. Okay, if you just state your names for the record, please.
Ying Li,
Erica Moffett?
And Jim Moffett.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who's going to be testifying on this application tonight on behalf of the applicant?
No.
And then just one other thing, let me get clarification on this. My recollection is that one of the variances that was requested was a floor area ratio variance. Is that still the case, Ms. Lee?
yes,
Okay, so just to remind the board that a floor area ratio variance is a form of D variance under 40:55D-70D of the municipal land use law, which requires 5 affirmative votes out of 7. So just so the applicant is aware of that, or just is reminded of that, so.
All right, now, Ms. Lee, I think at the last hearing, there was some confusion as to whether the request was to build a patio or a deck in the rear of the house. Has
yes.
that been cleared up? And if so, which is it?
We have decided that it will be a deck.
A deck? Okay, proceed with whatever testimony you want to put before the board.
Yes, we are applying, there are 3 variants that we are applying for. The first is the lot coverage. And the existing condition, it's already at the maximum at a 45% lot coverage. That is the result of a 2 existing detached 2 garage at the back of the property, and the driveway that led to that 2 detached garage. So the homeowner, and also there is currently there is a patio, brick patio at the back of the house that is on the lawn. We realized that by doing any addition, the existing is already at the maximum, any addition or any improvement will drive the lot coverage very high. So we realized that to alleviate the situation, naturally the homeowner are willing to take away the existing patio, the brick patio, which will basically only make the proposed lot coverage at 48%. I think this is a gesture they're making, understanding that with that addition, it would have been basically 5.5% more over the 48%. It would have been 53% more. The lot coverage would have been 53% more if they don't take away that brick patio. So that's basically, that's the gesture we're proposing, taking that away to trade that 3% increase in the lot coverage. As for the floor area ratio, it is a similar situation. It is the existing 2-car garage at the back of the house that make the existing is at the 30%, and we are basically applying 3% more. if I included in the package, I think that's distributed to the board members. There's a basic area map of a Google map of the property. And if you have visited the property, you will realize that the addition we are seeking is really basically around within the existing, there is a fence, a dog fence of the, if we look at all the adjacent, there is this page, I think I sent to Eileen, I labeled that as Exhibit 1. That's basically Google Map showing the 19 Bailey Road.
Okay, wait, hold on a second, Miss Lee. My recollection is that you did in fact submit that with your application package as revised. Is that correct, Eileen?
Yes.
You're muted. Sorry.
Yeah, we have a 2-page, a Google Earth aerial that you submitted with the revised drawings, the revised pages.
Yes, basically, that's basically just to show that most of the properties in that block and the block next to it in the R6 zone, they have gone through renovate additions with similar scale. Most of them actually are, most of them go beyond what we've been doing. And I'm familiar with this R6 zone. Most of the additions, it's very difficult, if not impossible, to do any improvement without triggering FAR in the R6 zone in the area. Many of them have detached garage. If you look at the neighboring house, both of them have additions that went beyond where we are going back to. That's basically what the neighboring house, everybody is doing addition with the extent that's more than what we're proposing. And what we're proposing is within the existing dog fence that it is now. That's the FAR. As for the third variance is the accessory structure setback. It's the deck. It's required at the 12 feet from the property line. Right now, we are basically aligning the deck with the addition, which is basically 2 feet setback from the existing house. So basically we are 2.8 feet over, short out of the 12 feet side setback for the deck. The deck is really a minimum size to make it ergonomically function. It's about only 10 feet deep and 24 feet wide. All those numbers, basically, the whole process, we're trying to very carefully to control all the numbers to as minimum as possible. I think anything less than that will make the basic investment in the property not feasible. So that's basically the result of the 3 variances.
Is there any questions of this witness?
Can I ask a question, Mr. Chairman? Ms. Lee, with regard to the Google aerials that you submitted, do you know approximately the date those aerial photographs were taken?
Actually, the area photos, I don't think they are current because I myself, right now, 17 Bailey and 21 Bailey, they both have addition that went beyond what we're proposing. I myself, I think 29 is also one of my projects a couple of years ago that has a addition. I believe that with that FAR was 4% over. And again, both property are very similar, pretty much exactly in lot size, and they both have 2-car detached driveway. So with that update, I would say that 19 Bailey is one of only 2 houses, except for 23, that didn't have addition, basically at the back.
So to answer my question though, so the Google aerial is not reflective of the current condition of the neighborhood, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions of this witness? Yes, Wolfgang.
So with respect to the additions that are on the houses on either side of this address, were those additions, are those 1 or 2-story additions?
I believe on the 17, that is a 1-story addition.
Hmm.
And on the 21st, it looks like a 2-story addition. And the first, the 1-story addition at the back is, yeah, it looks like a 2-story addition. And, but the footprint of the 1st-story addition is larger.
Yeah, okay, I thought that they were both 1-story additions, and the proposed addition is a 2-story addition, correct?
Yes, it is 2-story.
Okay.
Are there any other questions of this witness? Any other witnesses? Is there anyone in the public here, Eileen, who wishes to speak?
I see no hands.
Is there any discussion from board members before I call for a motion?
Just a quick clarifying question here. You talked about the 2-floor addition. Is there an addition of the basement as well, or is that 3-tier in addition?
The 2-story addition is the 1st and the 2nd floor.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
The basement is not calculated or counted toward FAR per the ordinance.
Got it.
Any other questions
I have
from board members of any of the witnesses
questions or comments?
or of the architect?
Questions or comments?
Well, either one.
Well, if there's just one thing, as we talked about earlier, if there's no more questions for the applicants or their witness, then the hearing, the public portion of the hearing will be closed, and then it would be time for the board to have a deliberation. So however you want to.
We'll close the public portion of the meeting.
Okay.
And board members, now is the time for you to speak up about your thoughts about this case.
Joe, can I just make it one comment? I'm sorry I keep speaking. Just to remind the board, as I stated with regard to this application, it's a form of a D variance. It's a floor area ratio variance. It requires 5 affirmative votes. The applicant is in essence required, or I'll put it this way, that the board's focus should be on whether the site will accommodate the problems associated with the proposed use, but with a larger floor area that is permitted by ordinance. And there's also the need, as in all the bulk variance cases as well, to demonstrate that the negative criteria, again, that the variance can be granted without substantial detriment to the neighborhood and won't substantially impair the intended purpose of the zone plan and the zoning ordinance. Thank you.
Can I, before the public section is closed, can I make comments?
Well, I have closed the public portion, but we can reopen it So go ahead and make your comment.
Yes, okay. I'm of the most houses in R6 district have similar condition of detached garage and a long driveway. And I think when I work on the houses in this area, it is my goal always trying to keep the character of the house. I always try to keep even the addition to in line of first is visually make it basically less as contextual as they can to be with the neighborhood, and also try to keep the same building material and language with the neighborhood. I have done several houses on this block, and all of them, I think they blending in the neighborhood very well. And then all the houses on those block, they are basically rectangle of 26 feet by 25 feet, more or less. The kitchen, usually it's a rectangle of 6 feet by 8 feet. It is quite impossible for any family to live in a house without any improvement. And when I try to approach the house, I always try to very mindful, one about the context of the neighborhood. The other one is mindful about the zoning. I understand that it is usually it involves the variance. So in terms of a massing or the treatment of architecture language, have been always sensitive and to keep the numbers at minimum and to keep the buildings basically in good, being harmonious with the neighborhood. So that's basically, that's always my goal, especially when I work in houses in this, in R6 in Melbourne. All right.
Joy, I think you were about to make a comment.
Yeah, first I just want to agree with what the architect said. I think it's a very contextual and very sensitive addition. On the other hand, I have a little bit of just, I guess I want a discussion about if it's true that every time this particular architect, or not nearly every time, works in this R6, because of the detached garage counting now in the FAR, is creating FAR issues, then is there something wrong with the zoning? So that's a question, really, and that might, and maybe it doesn't have an answer today. But I also want to point out something that the one reason why I'm a little bit not totally convinced is that this is not an undersized lot, it's actually an oversized lot. And in terms of the width is narrower than what's required, but the lot is substantially deeper, but mostly the area matters, I think, in this case because of FAR. So that's kind of makes it a little bit harder for me to see it so clearly as being, you know, I do think it's a very nice addition. I think it's very sensitive, of great use of space. I agree with all that. But it just makes me wonder about the zoning if this keeps reoccurring.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Anyone else?
yeah.
Well, I'll make a comment for what it's worth. This area of Millburn, and this goes a little bit to what Joy was questioning. This area of Millburn, as I understand it, the homes are quite old and the lots are basically very narrow. Most of them do have garages, detached garages toward the rear of the house, but leaving some lawn behind the garage for the family to enjoy. I do suggest that Joy may be correct in that we should probably have the township planner take a look at this property, this area of Millburn, which is basically to the east of Wyoming Avenue, to talk about or suggest maybe to the township committee that there should be some adjustment of the zoning for this area of town. These homes are basically, to my eye at least, driving to the property in question and to other properties in this area. The homes are generally quite old. And the properties, as I pointed out before, are generally speaking fairly narrow and deep. So it makes it very difficult to try to do any substantial or even insubstantial addition to these homes without coming a cropper against the zoning. That leads me to my last comment, which is that as I look at the request here, we're talking about lot coverage and we're talking about a 3% request, which is relatively speaking fairly modest. The floor area ratio request is even more modest. It's also 3%, but it's 3% measured against a permitted 36%. And the same is in terms of the accessory setback, we're talking about a relatively modest amount there too. Now, my recollection from viewing this house, and it's been a while now, because this is a case that was carried from a meeting in the middle of March. But my recollection was that I did not see that these proposed additions negatively affected the neighboring properties, which is one piece of the negative criteria. And the other is because of the modest request here, I don't think that there's any significant effect on the zone and the zone plan of Millburn Township. So I, for one, would be, and I'm pretty, as you guys know, who've been on the board, I'm pretty tough on these cases. I think this case is probably one that I could support. Well, once again, any other comments from board members before I ask for a motion to approve or deny? Yes, Wolfgang.
In viewing the property, I went and viewed it again, and I did notice that on the right side, there are windows on that neighbor's house. There are windows that the light to which could be obstructed by the second floor of this addition. But that said, the neighbor isn't here objecting either, so it doesn't appear to be a big worry of theirs.
Let me respond before Steve. I know Steve has something to say, but let me respond to that. You've raised an interesting question about when you talk about whether someone is here objecting. We are charged on this board with taking a long view of what we do here in terms of the effect on the neighborhood. And the fact that the particular neighbor is not here objecting is not necessarily determinative of where we should be thinking about the case like this. But I'm sorry, somebody else had a comment. Who was it? Steve?
Yeah,
Yes.
so, generally, I'm in favor of this application. I know that in the past, we've looked at, relatively small FARs and kind of argued, well, it's so small that maybe it can go away. But, I really don't think that's the case in this application. I've tried to take a close look at the drawings and the modifications the architect made, and just to have a more standard, modern home, you need the kind of improvements I think that the applicant is looking for. So 3% notwithstanding, whether you consider it a nominal amount or not, I think it's something that is warranted in this application.
Well, we need two different motions here because as Rob has pointed out, we need 5 affirmative votes on the FAR. So why don't I do this? Why don't I ask, first of all, if there are any other comments from board members on any of the aspects of this case?
Can I just ask, I know Jessica, you were not here on March 15th.
I'm not, and I'm not going to be eligible to vote. I wasn't able to access it.
Okay, no problem. That's what I wanted to know. Okay, we're good.
Thank you, Eileen. Okay, so let's talk about a motion first on the lot coverage and the accessory structure setback requests for variances. Is there a motion to either approve or deny those two variances?
Move approval of the C variances.
Second,
We had a motion made and seconded to approve the lot coverage and the accessory structure setback variances.
Craig Plattner,
Yes.
Yodi Sharma,
Yes.
Joyce Siegel,
Yes.
Steve Toger,
yes.
Wolfgang Tutores,
Yes.
Amy Lawrence,
Yes.
Joseph Steinberg.
Yes. All right, now I'm going to ask for a motion to either approve or deny the floor area ratio variance where 36% is permitted and the proposal is 39%.
I move approval of the D variance.
There's been a motion made to approve the D variance. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Craig Plattner,
Yes.
Yodi Sharma,
Yes.
Joyce Siegel,
Yes.
Steve Toger,
Yes.
Wolfgang Tutores,
Yes.
Amy Lawrence,
Yes.
Joseph Steinberg.
Yes. All right, the application has been approved as to all 3 of the variances.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, the next case we're going to hear is the Moffett case at 19 Bailey Road.
No,
That was,
that was the Moffett case.
I'm sorry, did I say?
Myler.
That's right, I'm sorry, my fault. Picked up the wrong doc.
Joe enjoyed that application. He wanted to do it again.
Yeah, I sure did. Okay, so the next case is Nyler in the R5 district. Who's going to be testifying in this case?
Hi, we
Hi.
are.
Okay.
Hi.
Anyone who's going to be testifying, if you would just raise your right hand, please. Do you swear from the testimony you're about to give in tonight's Zoom hearing to be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Your names for the record, please.
Samantha Myler.
Mark Myler.
Cindy Bornerlay, architect.
Spell your name, please.
Sure. BOERNER-LAY.
And Mark, is it with a C or a K?
K.
I'm going to ask the architect to give us the benefit of her experience, education, and qualifications as an architect.
Sure. I graduated NJIT summa cum laude in 1996 with a B Arc. I'm licensed in the state of New Jersey since 2000. I'm a Class A member of my own township, Washington Township's Historical Commission. I've appeared before this board a few times, so it has been a couple years, as well as other boards throughout Morris, Essex, Union, Hunterdon, and Sussex counties.
Your qualifications as an architect, excuse me, are accepted by this board. But who's going to be the first witness to testify?
So the milers are going to start.
All right, we
Go
good to go? Okay. Hi, we're Samantha and Mark Myler. And we just wanted to tell you a little bit about our house and us and what we're looking to do here. We purchased this house in 2007. We've been living in the city for the previous decade, but having both grown up in New Jersey, he right here in Union and me in Bergen County, we knew we wanted to raise our kids here in the suburbs. And we window shopped literally for years in a bunch of towns and realized that Millburn was the one for us. Pre-pandemic, I commuted to New York every day. Mark drove to Jersey City. And the combination of the Midtown Direct train, the stellar school system, and the people we met here all contributed to our decision. But when we moved in, we had a 4-month-old son, and this house was a good size for that. But 2 years later, surprise, we ended up with twin girls. And so the house quickly, we outgrew the house pretty quickly. The house stayed the same size even as our family was growing. So the 3 bedrooms, the 1.5 baths, getting really tight with a full family like that. And so we were looking to give our kids their own rooms and some much needed privacy as they've gotten older. So we considered the options of, do we move to a bigger house or do we add on to this house? And so we spent the last few years looking for houses and nothing really fit the bill for us or gave us the same feeling that this house did. And so we realized, okay, this is the time we're going to go ahead and make a change with this house. Specifically, we love this neighborhood. We live right across the street from the Wyoming school. So the affinity that we have for this neighborhood has been really, really strong. When we first moved in, we were like, gosh, I can't imagine when Henry will even go to this school. And now all 3 of our kids have graduated from Wyoming and are at the middle school. So we've really been really close. I was on the PTO board, all that good stuff. And so we have the opportunity now, since the kids are in a centralized at the middle school and soon to be high school, to live anywhere in town, but we still want to live here because we really like the way it feels. So as we built our plans, we really just want to make enough space for our family to comfortably live here. No major upgrades have been done to this house. It was built in 1928. We need to correct some existing issues. The half bath is literally in the middle of the kitchen. It's like against the current code, so we do need to fix that. So that's one of the things that we'll do. Obviously, in this neighborhood, our lot is narrow and deep, and so we knew that it was already non-conforming and that we would need to come before you for variances. So we worked with Ms. Bornerley to thoughtfully design an addition that is no more egregious than what exists now and is respectful of our neighbors. The work all will be done in the rear of the house where there is ample property to go back without getting closer to our adjacent neighbors or affecting the curb appeal from the front. Both of our next door neighbors have each put additions on in the past, and we've spoken with them. The fence along our border with 51 Pine Street is falling apart. We talked a lot with the Cunninghams who live there. They're very supportive of everything we're going to do here. Super excited to help, and we're going to work with them to build a new fence once all the addition is done. We hope that you'll see that the plans are an upgrade to the property and the neighborhood while still keeping with that charm you expect and that we love here in Wyoming. So if there's any questions for me, let us know. And if not, we'll have to pass it to Cindy, who can discuss the specifics of the plan.
Are there any questions of this witness? Next witness.
Hi. So I'm just going to briefly walk you through the plan. So I'm actually going to flip my screen so that I can show you the plans on the computer. Okay, so these are the same drawings that you have in front of you. It's nothing new, nothing has changed. So this is the first floor plan, which is on sheet 2 of the drawings that you currently have. So in the front of the home, there's an existing dining room, which we plan on keeping, but potentially sort of repurposing as an office at this time. Again, everybody working from home and all that. And then currently, this entire room is one giant living room, which we plan on just using more efficiently. It's a large room, so what we want to do is actually break it up into a dining room, a pantry, a closet, and a butler's pantry. And then part of it will start the kitchen. And then we'll be adding a kitchen addition, a kitchen breakfast room addition on the back. Currently, the back line of the house comes across like this. So we're reutilizing existing space, and then we're adding a bump out on the back of a family room. And like I said, the kitchen and breakfast area. The existing family room is in the area of the existing deck. So the family room is basically being built on the top of already existing structure. And then there'll just be a small stoop and steps going down to the backyard. Let me just scoot you over. On the same sheet 2, on the basement level. So this
Cindy, hold on a second. So all these exhibits or plans, floor plans that you're showing are all
the
part
exact-
of the
Yes.
application package, correct?
Yep, they're the exact drawings that you have.
Thank you.
So this is the basement level. It's an unfinished basement currently. We don't really need additional basement space, but due to the way the site slopes from left to right, the addition under the family room area will be a crawl space, but the addition under the kitchen area will actually be a full basement just because of the way the grade falls down. We're basically at full height anyway, so that will be a full basement, but it will just be unfinished. Sheet number 3, again, same drawings that you currently have. This is the second floor plan. So right now, the back of the house is here. So there's an existing bedroom in the front, which we will be keeping. Currently, there's a big bedroom, which is basically the master bedroom, and then a small bedroom in the back. And we're just going to move the wall to more equalize those. So there'll be 3 kids' bedrooms of a more equal size, and then adding a new master suite off the back. So currently, there's a hall bathroom here, which we're kind of blowing through to get to the new addition. So we'll be sort of reconfiguring that hall bathroom and then adding a new master bedroom, master bath, and closet. On the 3rd floor, there's currently like a little bonus room up there, and that will stay. There'll be no additional attic space because of the height of the ridges of the new addition aren't tall enough to allow for living space up there. So sheet 4, this is the front elevation. So nothing really changes from the front except for some material upgrades. So we are proposing to, right now there's vinyl siding and vinyl replacement windows. So we are proposing to re-side the house and to replace the windows. Siding will either be a vinyl or a hardy board, depending on the budget. And the windows, we're thinking like an Anderson simulated divided light, which will be an upgrade from the vinyl replacement windows. And the roofing will be an asphalt shingle like it is now, and typical aluminum K-style gutters. And this is the side of the house. So this is the left side when you're looking at the front. So this is basically the existing house. And then currently there's like a 1-story bump addition here, and then there's the deck, which is what we're building over. So this is the new family and master suite addition from the side. Sheet number 5. This is the rear elevation, which is where most of the action is happening. So this is the family room, the kitchen, a breakfast room addition, and the master suite above. We've been sort of very careful to have sort of varied roof lines and have it step down. This element here is actually a 1-story element, and then popping up to 2-story elements, much like the existing house does. It has a lot of sort of 1- and 2-story elements and varied roof lines, which we're playing up to. And then this, if you're looking from the front, is the right side. So again, this is basically the existing house here. And then this is the new addition of the kitchen and breakfast room and the master suite above. And again, we've done some 1-story and 2-story elements to kind of keep those roof lines variegated. As you know, we require a number of variances to achieve our goals. We require both left and right side yard setback variances, as well as a lot coverage variance. I'll start with the lot coverage variance. So this is sheet 1. Sorry, let me just sort of zoom out a little bit. So this is our existing and proposed site plan. Our existing lot coverage is 34.04. Our proposed is 35.77%, whereas 35% is the maximum allowed. So we're looking at a 0.77% or 78 square foot violation. As you can see, we're almost at our maximum lot coverage with our existing site plan having only 97 square feet left to play with. First, we believe this is a de minimis variance. And second, we believe we have the hardship of an undersized, very long and very narrow lot. This comes into play for lot coverage as we have a long driveway to access our garage located in the rear of the lot. Our addition is mainly over an existing deck, and we were replacing that deck with a much smaller platform, just big enough for ingress and egress to the family room in the back. The existing deck and steps is approximately 342 square feet, whereas our new deck and steps is 193 square feet smaller at about 149 square feet. We also have slightly reduced our driveway area by 55 square feet. So we believe we have done what we can to minimize our increase in lot coverage, but still have a proper egress platform and still maintain access to the garage in the rear. It should also be noted that if our lot was the conforming size of 14,500 square feet, our lot coverage would be under at 25% and would be conforming. The next variance we need is the side yard setback for the left side. So I'm going to bring you back to that side yard again. So this is the elevation that we're talking about here. Our left side yard setback under 18 feet tall is existing non-conforming at 8.3 feet, whereas 12 feet is required and 10.77 is proposed to the new addition. This is actually to the chimney bump out. The main wall of the addition is actually 12.77 feet. Again, we have the hardship of an undersized narrow lot, which is only 50 feet wide versus 75 foot required. We have stepped the addition in at this side again to do what we can to minimize the variances required. Our left side yard setback over 18 feet tall is also existing non-conforming at 14 feet, whereas 13.1 is proposed and 15.63 is required. We're not actually building any closer to the property line than the existing. We're simply matching the existing line on this side. But since the home is not square to the property lines, it seemingly gets smaller. This is also, so I'm going to go to the other side. Oops, sorry, wrong sheet. So this is the driveway side of our, sorry, I'm on the wrong one. Stay on that one. This is also the driveway side of our left side yard neighbor. So there's a current fence, as the Mylers alluded to, along this property line.
Cindy, I apologize. Let me interrupt you. When you're referring to the plans, can you just identify what sheet you're referring to for the record, please?
So this is sheet 4. It's still the same side yard. I just flipped off and back on because I made a mistake.
Okay, thank you.
So it's still the same sheet. So Sam had mentioned that, they had been talking to the neighbor about replacing this fence, as she mentioned, and they would like to work with the side yard neighbor to replace the fence, but a fence will be maintained along this side yard. We believe our addition is in keeping with the massing and style of our home, offering the additional space the Mylers need while not further infringing on the side yard setback of the current home. We believe, given this is the neighbor's driveway side and there's fencing that will remain, that we are not intruding on our neighbor's privacy nor blocking the light, air, or view. So this is a photo exhibit. I think you guys should have this on record too. I sent it to Eileen. I think it was Thursday or Friday. So I had marked this.
Hold on. Eileen, do we have this?
You're muted.
I don't have this.
Cindy, I don't believe the board members
Yeah, we have to
received a copy of this.
enter this.
Board members did not receive a copy.
Okay. I did email it, but like I said, it was Thursday or Friday that I emailed it.
Is there a way, Eileen, since this is not part of the application packet and we're going to have to mark it as an exhibit, is there a way for Ms. Barner-Lay to share her screen so she can show it and have the board members and the public see it a little more clearly?
Yes, if she has it on her computer, she can.
So I can't actually share my screen because my Zoom is on my iPad and I can't do PDFs on my iPad. So all I can do is kind of bring you in closer to my computer screen.
Can you spotlight her and make it bigger?
So I can zoom in on like the individual pictures. as I go through them.
All right, well, why don't we first
Enter it.
mark, is this one sheet?
Yes, it's one sheet. I had
Let's
labeled
mark,
it.
we're gonna mark this as A1. And this is a sheet of colored photos. Correct?
Yes.
And how many photos do we have there?
So there is 5 actual photos and then one like Google photo.
5 photos plus Google photo. And with regard to the 5 photos, did you take those photos yourself?
So Sam Myler actually took them on like Wednesday or Thursday of last week.
And we'll just have, Miss Myler, can you just unmute yourself for a second?
Yes.
Can you confirm for the record that the photos that Miss Bornerley is showing and is about to go over are photos that you took last week?
Correct. Yes, they are.
Thank you.
So the photos that are currently on your screen, this is a view from the area of the addition towards the left side yard neighbor. So obviously you can see here that their driveway is on this side, the neighbor's driveway is on this side, dividing their house from our property. And you can also see the fence that we were talking about, maintaining, but also replacing. And then there's another, it's just an additional view here. You can also see there, there's some screening of planting, but it's mainly fencing that separates these 2 properties. And then I'm going to skip to the photos of the right side yard neighbor. So this is on the opposite side. This is, like I said, the right side yard neighbor. On the right side, we require a variance for a side yard setback of 32 feet in height, where 8.81 is existing, 8.6 feet is proposed, and 16 feet is required. Again, we're matching the existing, but due to the non-parallel side yard lines, it seemingly gets smaller as it goes towards the rear of the property. I believe our addition is less massive on this side, however, than the existing, since it is a roof side of the addition and not the gable end wall. Also, at its closest point to the side yard, we step it down to a 1-story element. This side is actually better screened than the left side with vegetation, as you can see. This is also our driveway side, so the driveway does create a buffer between the 2 properties. And I'll just go back to the elevation drawing real quick. So this is the side yard that faces that right side yard property they were talking about. So what I was saying is like the existing house profile seems taller because it's actually the gable end, whereas our addition feels like it's stepped down and lower because you're actually looking at the roof line and not the tallness of the gable. We believe we have the hardship. Oh, sorry, I'll flip you back now. We believe we have the hardship C1 variance of an existing non-conforming site size, both in area and dimension, which is creating the need for our variances. If our lot were conforming size in both area and width, we would not require these variances. Since our lot is long and narrow, being 25 feet narrower than the required, it would be very difficult to conform to the side yard setback requirements. The buildable width being only 18 feet wide at the 32-foot height side yard setback requirement of 16 feet. We also believe we have to fit the criteria of a C2 variance. Our additions do not create any negative effects on our property or any neighboring properties, and we enhance the neighborhood satisfying a C2 variance. Besides an upgrade in materials, siding, trim, and windows, we're not changing the front elevation street viewscape. We've removed lot coverage where we could and built our addition mostly in an area over an existing structure to be removed to lessen the impact of our small 78 square foot lot coverage variance. We've matched the existing side yards or pulled them in further than the existing, again, doing what we can to lessen the effects on our neighbors. We've varied the roof lines and ridge heights with 1- and 2-story elements to reduce the overall massing of the additions. And I believe the additions are aesthetically pleasing and enhance the character of the home and the neighborhood. In conclusion, for all of these reasons, we believe our proposal is a positive addition to the neighborhood, and we hope that the board looks favorably upon our application. Thank you.
Before I ask for questions of this witness, I'm going to ask a question of Mrs. Myler. Do you actually use the garage?
For cars, no. For storage, yes.
You don't use it for cars.
Not currently.
No. I am asking the question because when I went there, I saw a car in the driveway that obviously had been there. It was covered with dust and all kinds of,
All the pollen, yes.
yeah, stuff that has fallen off trees and bushes. So the garage is not used at this time for cars.
Correct.
Is that
It hasn't
correct?
been used, it hasn't been used for a car in probably 10 years,
Maybe more.
if not longer.
And you've been in the house how many years?
14. 14 years.
How many?
14.
Thank you. All right, are there questions of the architect from board members? I have one. Do you think that there will be a significant impact from this proposed construction on the neighbor to the right?
In what way?
Blocking their views and light in their windows especially on the first floor?
No, I mean, on the first floor, we're not actually going back, all that far. Let me just click on my CAD file. On the first floor on that side, we're kind of filling in a corner. So currently there's a chimney, there. So from the back of the existing chimney to the back of the new addition, we're going back about 17 and a half feet. And part of that 17 and a half feet is only one story, the very back part. So we were trying to sort of keep it lower on that side, realizing that obviously, you know, that's where we're closest. So we have tried to accommodate that. And again, there is the driveway separating the two. So obviously nothing's ever going to happen there because you need access to the garage in the back. So we feel we've been sensitive, you know, to that.
Any other questions from board members of any of the witnesses? Is there anyone in the audience, Eileen, on this case?
No.
Is there a motion from any of the board members with respect to this application?
I'd like to make a motion to approve. I think that we have a house here where it's an undersized lot, and this house clearly needs some updating for modern day living. And I think that the requests are all very reasonable given the size of the property, and that it's everything is tastefully done. I don't think that there's anything that's being asked for that's too much. I think that it will be a good addition to the neighborhood. I'm comfortable approving it.
Wolfgang.
I would just mention that it appeared to me, looking at the property and the neighboring properties.
First of all, before we do that, let me ask you if there's a second to the motion.
I would second the motion.
Or now Wolfgang, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that it appeared that the houses on either side have very similar additions to them. And with the lot going back as far as it does, you know, it didn't appear to me that this addition would be too much for the property in any way.
Any other comments from board members? Steve?
Yeah, I would just add that, you know, you want to compliment the applicant for going ahead, and they've been in the house for a long time. And instead of just getting to a bigger house, they want to improve the one they have. It helps them. It's stable. It's stable for their family, and it's a benefit to the neighborhood overall.
Any other comments from board members? Eileen, can we have a roll call?
Craig Plattner,
Yes.
Jody Sharma,
Yes.
Joyce Siegel,
Yes.
Steve Toger,
Yes.
Wolfgang Tutoris,
Yes.
Jessica Flat,
Yes.
Joseph Steinberg.
Yes. Good luck with the project.
Thank you so
Thank you very
much.
much.
Thank
for your
you.
We're going to go now to the last case of the evening, which is 9 Kilmer Drive.
All right, give me 1 second. Oh, thanks, Nicole.
Mr. Shannon,
Yes, hello, sorry.
you're the owner, is that correct?
Yes, me and my wife Danielle.
You're both going to testify?
Yes,
And Mr. Figure, you're the architect?
I am, yes.
All right, let's get everybody sworn.
If you all would just raise your right hand, please. Do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give in tonight's Zoom hearing to be the truth, whole truth, and but the truth?
You do.
yes, I do.
Let's start with your names, please.
Edward Shannon,
Danielle Shannon.
William Figdor, architect.
I should say, just to refresh everyone's memory, that looking at the application, there is one variance required here, a combined side yard setback variance where 35% of the lot width is required for the combined side yard setbacks, and where the applicant is proposing 30.7% instead of 35. So there's a 4.3% variance required. Okay, who wants to begin for the applicant?
I guess I'll start. That's
Why don't we get Mr. Fedor qualified as an expert?
Yes, Mr. Feder, can you give us the benefit of your experience, your education, your training, and your qualifications as a practicing architect?
Yes, so I have 2 degrees. My second is in architecture from the Boston Architectural College, and I graduated in '89. And I've been working ever since. I worked in New York and Boston for large firms, and I've been on my own since 2000. I've been before this board several times over the years.
Are you registered as an architect in any state?
Oh yes, I'm registered in New York, New Jersey, mostly. I mean, there are other states, but those are the main primary ones I work in.
Your registration is in good standing?
Yes.
Any other questions from board members regarding qualifications of this witness? Your qualifications are accepted by this board. Proceed.
So you're correct that we're seeking 1 variance, and that is due to the existing garage that we're actually not building over. So that forms the side yard, the combined side yard setback requirement that we're going with. Anything that we would do in the house would require a variance. So it's an undue hardship based on the zoning, and the lot is undersized by quite a bit. But we're keeping to the left side setbacks with the proposed. So we're not going straight up, we're actually indenting it, but in keeping with the context of the house itself, we're respectful of the architecture and enhancing it. So the existing square footage on the second floor is really under the eaves of the roof. and the ceiling heights are maximum 6'8" in like a typical Cape where the roof is flat and then it pitches down. There is a dormer in the back, but that doesn't help much. So by just straightening out the walls, essentially, we're creating a lot of useful space up there without any further addition. Now, on the drawings, there's a note 33 about an alternate. We're not doing anything with that. That was too expensive and not worth the cost.
I'm sorry, say that again.
On the drawings, there's a note 33 about an alternate add bid. And that's for possibly doing an addition out in the back and a deck. That was for bid purposes, but we're only doing the second floor addition.
So that's item number 33.
33.
Is that correct?
Yes,
And you're saying disregard that?
yes, because that's not relevant to the application. It was really for bid and we're not doing it.
Your side yard setbacks are in accordance with the zoning?
Where we're building, yes, but the existing garage on the right side is in the setback completely. But we're not touching it, but it affects us because it's existing.
Any other questions of this witness from board members? Eileen, are there any other witnesses?
I do know that there is a property owner, Julius, I believe the last name is Haas, who is in attendance and wanted to, I don't know if he has a question or if he just has a comment. So that's, okay, he's got his,
Well, can we bring him in?
yeah, he does have his hand raised.
Mr. Haas, can you turn on your camera and unmute yourself?
Unmute the camera. Okay.
Okay. Can you tell us where you live, please?
I live on 11 Kilometer Drive. I'm in a neighbor to the right.
As you face the applicant's house, your house is to the right?
As you face the house, I'm the neighbor on the right hand side.
Proceed, sir.
Is he?
Wait. Hold on.
Yeah.
Mr. Haas,
So
let's first,
sworn.
well, let's first, do you want to ask any questions of the witness?
Well, I have a couple of comments.
You have comments? Okay, hold on. If you don't have any
Sworn.
questions, but you do have comments, we're going to ask that you get sworn. Okay?
Okay.
And then provide your name and address. So Eric, has he been sworn yet?
No, we'll do that right now. If you would just raise your right hand, please, sir. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in tonight's Zoom hearing to be the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
If you would just state your name and your address for the record, please.
Julius Haas, Haas, at 11 Kilometer Drive, Short Hills.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Proceed.
Okay, I had basically three comments, but the first comment was answered because the plans which I reviewed at the offices of the municipality were in conflict with the plans which were recently uploaded onto the township website. And I understand now that that was an alternate which is not being considered. So my comment is nil and void on that subject. My second comment would have been the side distance or side setback from the garage. The garage is 5.5 and a half foot distance. which is well less than what's supposed to be. And I understand that. What I'd like to say is that the garage is not used as a garage for parking cars. There are always two cars parked in the driveway side by side, and that way taking benefit of the driveway's encroachment onto my property by close to 2.5 feet, as indicated in the site plan. In effect, therefore, my neighbor is using my land for parking the cars. That's one comment. That's the second comment. And the third comment would be that the plans show increased impervious area of certain percentage, which I don't know exactly, but that combined with the new proposed roof, shape of the roof and the roof area will increase stormwater runoff on the property, plus the new arrangement of the proposed roof will require new arrangement of gutters and downspouts, which will change the stormwater runoff pattern, and thus it will exacerbate already bad drainage condition at our site, because we are down slope from 9 Kilometer Drive. And related to drainage is a underground drainage pipe which runs on along the driveway on my side of the property. And Mr. Shannon told me that he contemplates reconstructing this drainage pipe, which also will involve reconstructing the curb and reconstructing the retaining wall, which supports the driveway and separates and encroaches in a way on my property. I'd say first that the underground drainage pipe should be relocated on the other side of the driveway onto 9 Kilometer Drive property. And second, if there is any rehabilitation done on the curb and retaining wall, it should be done without further encroaching onto my property and without damaging my property, or in an alternative solution, the curb and the retaining wall should be shifted away from my property to the left onto the property of 9 Kilometer Drive. That's about the extent of the comment I have.
Excuse me, Eileen?
Yes.
Is it not true that the applicant, when they go into construction, must go to the municipal engineer to deal with the issue of the drainage and the runoff?
The plans will first be reviewed by the engineering department for them to determine whether a grading permit will be required. They look at new land disturbance to determine whether they want to see a grading permit. But if it's a second floor addition and it's leaders and gutters, there is no addition, there's no lot coverage disturbance. So typically for decks or second floor additions, there's no ordinance requirement to provide stormwater management, because you're not adding any impervious coverage. You're not disturbing any lot coverage. You're just adding up. You're not making the conditions worse.
Mr. Simon, is it not true that this board has no jurisdiction to deal with the issues that were raised by Mr. Haas?
With regard to the issues that
No,
Mr.
no.
Haas, are you talking specifically about the stormwater management issue, or just any of the issues?
I'm talking about the stormwater management issues.
Yeah, no, Ms. Dabbitt's entirely correct. I just reviewed the plans and the zoning table. And in fact, there is no proposed increase in building coverage or impervious coverage. So this board either imposing a condition or asking the applicant to modify their plan in an effort to mitigate any detriment caused by a requested variance would not apply here because they're not seeking any type of building coverage or lot coverage deviation. If the engineering department felt otherwise, that's for them to determine based on their review of the plan.
And if I could just add, I think I spoke to Mr. Haas about the wall that's currently encroaching, and he did indicate that the applicant said they wanted to replace it. And I did confirm to him at that time that if they decide to replace that wall at any time, the permit that they would be given by me would be to put that wall on their property so that the condition would then be corrected. But since they're not proposing anything with regard to the wall at this time.
Any other comments from board members on Mr. Haas's comments? Thank you, Mr. Haas. But is there any discussion from board members as to the requested variance here?
Mr.
Well,
Chef, you have your hand raised. Do you have a question or?
No, I was,
Oh, okay.
I was just going to get.
First of all, if there are any comments.
Sorry.
Well, I'd like to know if this is true about this parking issue. Are they actually using the neighbor's lawn or property to park their cars?
So I could address that for you. So our driveway pre-existing from when we moved in, I don't know how long, at the very top of the driveway, about the last, I'd say 6 or 7 feet. If you look at the plans, you'll see that the driveway jettisons out about 2 feet. Well, on the plans on the survey, it jettisons out about 2 feet. Our cars fit side by side when we pull up to the garage, which is a 1-car garage, and it does leave room. So we're not we're not parking on his land, but because the jettison goes out over the property line, Mr. Haas feels like we're utilizing his land for our driveway. I have had a conversation with him about this, and I have offered him the opportunity that once we've gotten these permits done, which I wanted to comment on why we're doing it, I would then look at removing and replacing the driveway, building the retaining wall correctly, and fixing the error that was in place well before we moved in I believe that Mrs. Davitt said earlier, would run right along our property line, and we would have no problem with making that adjustment. But unfortunately, I told him, I said, I can't make that adjustment until I know if these permits are approved on this house because of budgetary reasons.
Okay.
So I mean, it's not like I'm driving onto his lawn and parking my car on his lawn.
I have a question. How long have you lived in the house?
2012.
Yes, we moved into 2012. We rented a house in Wyoming district for a year first, when my oldest daughter, who's 14, went to Wyoming for kindergarten. We have 2 teenage daughters, 13 and 15 now. One's in high school and the other one's in 7th grade. We moved in this house in 2012. The way the upstairs is situated with being a cape, as our architect mentioned earlier, the ceiling height's only 6 foot 8 inches. So it's literally 8 inches over my head. And so it's a very tight, difficult space. And then in the back, if you look at the original layout, it's got some awkward jettisons where the walls aren't flat and straight. So none of the rooms are actually set up to where you could have normal furniture. So what we were just trying to do was go over our existing footprint on the first floor, square off the house going up to create normal livable bedrooms for myself, me and my wife, and our 2 children. Currently, my wife and I live in a bedroom on the first floor with the two girls living in the two rooms on the top floor. We would like to have our whole family in a full normal second floor for the house. That's, we did look at additions. We decided we didn't want to do that for multiple reasons. One, we felt it kind of changed the look and feel of the house too much, where it would push out the back and take away from our yard. And it's not what we wanted to do. We want to try to keep the look and feel of the house to some level in line exactly with what's on the block. The other reason we didn't go over the garage was for that same reason, right? We kind of like the fact that the house isn't just going to be a big rectangle, that there is some personality to the house, and the garage is separate. And there was no need for us to add that additional space. We didn't need it.
Are there any other comments from board members or questions of the witnesses? Yes, Steve, I think you're muted.
No, can you hear me?
Yes.
Now we can.
So it's an interesting, clearly the variance, it's a grandfathered variance. It actually, right, it has nothing to do really with the project, the actual project per se. My question is how do we apply the positive and negative criteria to this variance, given the testimony of the objector? Which is to say, the actual construction that's being done doesn't seem to have any negative, doesn't seem to infringe upon negative criteria, but the variance that's pre-existing has nothing to do with the homeowner. The homeowner didn't do it. Does have a negative criteria component to it. So how do we approach that?
Well,
I have a comment on that, but Mr. Simon is our attorney, so let him go first.
I equally welcome your comment, Joe.
Joe, you can go ahead. I'll respond as well, but you can go first.
Well, my view is that one has nothing to do with the other. As simple as that. So it seems to me that the request that's being made of this board relates to one item and one item only, which is the side yard setback issue. And I don't think that it's appropriate for us to issue a condition that relates to something or some things that have nothing to do really with the fact that this property has a pre-existing issue with multiple side yard setbacks. Mr. Simon.
So, this is a C1 type of case where you're looking at the hardship of not just the property, but also the structures located thereon. And when you have a situation like this, where you have an existing combined side yard setback deviation that is being caused by the existing house, as I said, the structures thereon on the property, and you are going up where you are technically increasing the deviation, not by going out, by going up. So there's more house that is deviating the condition. However, based on the testimony that was presented by not only the architect, but also by the applicant, Mr. Shannon, this board, if it chose to do so, would have the ability, based on the record, I believe, to conclude that the hardship caused by the size of the property and the structures located on that property could justify, to your point, Steve, meeting the positive criteria.
Thank you.
Is there a motion in this case?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Craig Plattner,
Yes.
Jyoti Sharma,
Yes.
Joy Siegel,
Yes.
Steve Toger,
Yes.
Wolfgang Tatoris,
Yes.
Jessica Glatt,
Yes.
Joseph Steinberg.
Yes.
We're good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Could I just, did we carry the Dela Cruz? Did you announce the carry of that application?
No, I have not.
Okay,
Not yet.
just to make sure that gets
When
done.
when is it going to be heard?
June 7th.
All right, the Dela Cruz matter, which is the first matter on the agenda, the original agenda, I believe, or maybe it was the second matter. But let me just get it in front of me. It's the calendar 3784-21. Lisa and Robert Dela Cruz, 17 Woodland Road. That matter will be carried without further notice or publication required to, tell me again,
June 7th.
June 7th at 7 p.m. in a Zoom meeting before this board. Is there any other matter to come before the board that is not on the agenda? Yes.
Can I
Rob.
ask one more question? And I want to apologize to the board for holding you up. But Rob, I just want to make sure I understand what it is you said. And the way I interpreted what you said is that in this last case that we just heard, we would apply the positive negative criteria to the actual construction that's going on and not necessarily to a pre-existing condition that's not being changed. Is that the way to think about what you said?
Yeah, so and there's a good amount of case law on this point. It's not just when you look at a C1 variance and there's a seminal case involving a swimming pool and the people needed a setback variance, I think, for a swimming pool. And the court talked about the fact that, well, swimming pool can only be put in this particular location because of the existing house and the existing accessory structures on the property. And the location of the house and the structures on the property were what the court deemed to be most of the hardship that was being suffered. And the court went on to say that in those types of cases, the hardship doesn't just have to be the actual condition of the land, but also may morph into the structures located on the land. So if you're going, in this case, straight up, because you have a pre-existing condition and it makes sense to go straight up, and it meets, to your point, Steve, it meets the negative criteria, then certainly the board is fully able to determine that it's the structures on the property that are deviating, whether it's a pre-existing non-conforming condition or otherwise, that can be justified or that can justify the C1 positive.
Okay, thanks again. Appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem.
All right, is there any other new business on non-agenda items to come before the board? Yes, Rob.
Again, I echo Steve. I don't want to hold up the board. And normally we would discuss litigation matters in executive session, but I don't think we need to for this particular issue. So there was a matter that was heard by this board back in 2020. I believe the applicant, or I'm sorry, I don't remember whether the applicant was Kogan and the objector was Bressler or the other way around, Eileen?
The applicant was Bressler.
Applicant was Bressler and the objector was Kogan. So that matter was decided by the board, resolution was adopted, passed by this board, and there was an appeal by Ms. Cogan that was filed in, let's say, in late 2020. However, it was not until very recently that this board was actually served with the complaint, correct, Eileen?
Correct.
So I've spoken to Joe and Eileen about the matter, and my understanding, unless there is a different thought, is that this board is going to be defending its action that it undertook last year with regard to this Bressler application. Joe, anything to add on that? I think we're good.
I think we're good. Eileen?
I'm still a little confused by the whole thing, so I'm gonna stay out of it for now. So we accepted the service.
We were served, and we're going to respond, and we're going to respond accordingly.
Respond accordingly. Okay.
We were served, but we were served out of time, we
Correct.
believe.
Yeah, way out of time. Okay.
Okay.
That's fine. Is there a motion to adjourn? I know you guys are insane at 19 minutes of 9.
So moved.
This has got to be the earliest, this has got to be the earliest motion to adjourn in the history of the Millburn zoning board. Is there
Oh,
such a motion?
We've done earlier. Seconded.
Motion by Steve Toger. Is there a second?
No, Greg, I second Greg.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
See you on May 17. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you. Good night.
Thanks.
Aye.
Good night, everyone.